Hi, my name is Doug Schneider. Welcome to the 8th episode of Real Hi-Fi. And in this episode, I want to kind of have a change of pace and pay tribute to what I believe has to be the most successful and most popular hi-fi loudspeaker of the last 15, maybe even 25 years, the KEF LS50. But before we move on, I want to bring up some trivia, something people may or may not remember. It's easy to forget that the LS50 was created as a 50th anniversary KEF celebratory model. And on the pair I have, it says 50th anniversary model on their fronts. But not long after the speaker was released, I don't know why, KEF removed that wording from the speaker. But I was told it was purely a cosmetic change. Nothing about the speaker design changed at all. Who knows why they did it? Anyway, let's move on to why it stood out. So this isn't going to be a video review. I already wrote extensively about the LS50 in 2013, about a year after it was released. I also wrote about the LS50 Meta, its successor, last year, just after it was released. Instead, I want to highlight a few things in regards to its design and also its marketing that I think went a long way to make this speaker such a success. One of the things is the price. I was there in 2012 when the speaker debuted in Munich, and I listened to the whole presentation and I saw the speaker and I thought, it's going to be about $3,000 per pair. That was what was in my mind. And when I heard $1,500 per pair, I thought, oh wow, this speaker is going to be a hit if it's any good. And why is that? That's not a cheap price, but it's not an exorbitant price in hi-fi either. And also anyone in the budget realm, let's say under $1,000 per pair, it's something they could aspire to. A couple other things are the way it's built and also looks. You pick this thing up, it feels heavy, solid. It doesn't feel like an inexpensive speaker. And it doesn't look like one either. The original LS50 came out with this high gloss finish, this rounded front baffle and the gold UniQ in the middle. Nothing else on the market looked like it. It even distinguished itself in KEF's own line. Then there's this part that I don't think even KEF realized when they released it. It didn't come out as part of a series among their wide array of speakers. It was this little jewel that sat alone. It wasn't the smallest speaker in this series or the medium speaker in that series. It was special when it came out. Now all that stuff about look and feel and price and where it sits in KEF's line wouldn't amount to anything if they didn't get the sound right. And this is where KEF's designers nailed it for such a small speaker. Now, if you noticed, I said for such a small speaker, that was deliberate, because with small speakers, you have compromises. And it's not like KEF's designers went and blew through all those compromises. I think they just covered them up really well. Now, two of the compromises you come up against with small speakers are bass extension and overall output capability. Usually, small speakers are lightweight sounding and they can't play very loud. But with KEF LS50, it doesn't have the deepest bass in the world, but they came up with a good compromise between bass depth and quality and how it balances with the rest of the frequency range. In terms of output capability, it's probably down to the refinement of their UniQ driver array. It can play loud, louder than most small speakers can, and that's a real engineering feat. As a result, with decent bass output and fairly high output capability, this speaker sounds bigger than it is, and that's really impressive when you hear it. I don't know if I'd call this a strength, but I wouldn't call it a weakness. At the other end of the frequency range, they've kept the highs so that they're not too tipped up and not too rolled off. They're just ideally balanced. I've never heard anyone say the LS50 sounds dull or it sounds too bright. It just sounds right. But what's definitely a strength with this speaker is the mid-range. It's both tonally relatively neutral, but also exceedingly clean. And I think that has a lot to do with the low distortion. And we know that because we measured this speaker when it came out in the anechoic chamber. And for such a small speaker, the distortion is really low. And the result is you get a clean, clear, natural presentation of the mid-range, which really makes vocals sound realistic, that also come out of the cabinets really well. And I think that has a lot to do with the UniQ driver array and the rounded front baffle. Sound really goes freely out of them. And it's that openness and freedom coupled with the neutrality and the ample bass and the well-balanced highs that make you forget maybe any limitations the speaker has. That's why I said, I think they hid them really well. When you add all that up, you have a small speaker that's well built, beautifully designed, uniquely placed in KEF's product line, expertly voiced, and at a really affordable price. it's no surprise to me that this speaker was such a hit.